This video is sponsored by Element's Landscape Photography magazine. Stick around to see how you can get 15% off a yearly subscription. Fine art photography can be quite a fluffy concept, but in reality it is super simple. Don't get confused by the fine part of fine art photography, because fine art photography is simply just when the photographer uses the camera artistically. This stands in contrast to representational photography such as photojournalism, which provides a documentary visual account of specific subjects and events where the intent is to represent objective reality, and commercial photography, the primary focus of which is to advertise products or services. The goal of fine art photography is to express an idea, a message, or an emotion. This is why I have always defined myself as a fine art landscape photographer, because my goal is not to document the objective world, with all the philosophical problems that come with such a statement. My goal is not to take and edit a photo to represent exactly what my eyes saw in that exact moment. Where my individual photographs land on the arbitrary spectrum from unrealistic to realistic is only interesting to me to the extent that the viewers do not disregard the photos as fake or fantasy. Most people would probably also associate fine art photography with black and white and more abstract photography, but that would actually be quite a narrow definition. A colorful and complex landscape photo like Mark Adamus's work can be just as much a fine art photo as a minimalist, abstract and black and white photo, like let's say Michael Kenner's work. It is all about the intent of the photographer. In this video, I will be exploring a more artistic approach to landscape photography than my traditional colorful style. So I've been keeping my eyes on the weather since yesterday, where I saw that there was a good potential for getting some clouds this sunset. Now sadly, as the weather forecast developed, it looked as if those clouds would simply just dissipate and not be there at sunset. But from what I can see right now, it seems that those clouds will be back at sunset. So this here is the homepage of the Danish Meteorological Institute. I've found that I trust them more than other weather apps. And you can see this is Zealand. We have Copenhagen over here where I live right now. And what I wanted to do was go here for sunset. This was where I thought the clouds would develop, but as you can see right now, it's just sun, sun, sun. But as time progresses, and let's go to at 5, where the sun sets today, clouds have developed here, and the sun will set in this direction here. So hopefully those clouds will be hit by some light. So I often get asked how I'm always at the right spot at the right time. And to be completely honest, I'm not. But the benefit of local landscape photography is that you can keep an eye on the weather forecast and then you can react to it if you have time. So that is exactly what I'm going to do today. So my original intent for this outing was to capture that sunset, but as I drove west, the weather started behaving a bit unusual. The Danish Meteorological Institute had actually picked up on a chance of fog, but I disregarded it due to it only being in a short time interval and it also being afternoon. So this here is one of the most unusual phenomenons I have seen in Denmark or experienced in Denmark. And we have fog and it's afternoon. And I can actually see the sun somewhat through the fog up there. So it's very low fog. And as you can see on the waves here, it's also actually quite windy. But I'm getting a shot of these boats here. So I did intend to drive further east, but because I know the local area here, I knew that there was probably a cool and a decent chance to actually get a shot of these boats here with this fog. So I have been photographing the boats here in the background. I'm mainly focused on the one over there, not so much this one here. and just taking a few different photos where the horizon here is obscured due to the fog. It looks really, really nice. I think I will also try with the tripod here to take like a long exposure of the water and then see if I can blend in the boat over here so I can get a shot of that boat being sharp while the water is completely smooth due to the longer exposure. I love the atmospheric minimalism of this photo, and I also made two versions of it, a black and white and a color. As you can also see, I dropped the idea of the long exposure. It looked weird having the boat completely still and the long exposure effect on the water combined. Also, the blending was an absolute hassle and it looked blech. I also flew my drone and captured both the nearby bridge and found another boat that I could photograph with the drone and get a bit higher perspective. I really like these two photos. So simple and atmospheric. I actually photographed these boats and this bridge during completely other conditions last year. I can really recommend that video. I've linked to it up in the corner. One of the most important aspects of succeeding as a photographer is to be able to see opportunity in most conditions and being able to react. As you will see when we continue in this video, I had to adapt and work with the conditions I was given. If you struggle with inspiration, I can highly recommend Elements Landscape Photography magazine. It is a digital magazine with a huge emphasis on the fine art aspect of landscape photography. Throughout the many magazines, there is a segment called How It Was Shot, where a photographer explains a photo from their collection. There is actually a special issue of the magazine with 22 photos selected by the staff, where the photographers tell the readers the stories behind the photos. It is quite a popular issue. In issue 47, I personally especially enjoyed the big and fascinating special about Elliot Porter. His photos are gorgeous and they clearly demonstrate that fine art landscape photography can be both vibrant and colorful. The annual subscription is only $99, but with my code down in the description of the video, you can get 15% off and get access to the current issue, the next 12 issues, and all prior issues. Yes, you heard that right. A big recommendation from me and Peter Pixels and many other readers of the magazine. I drove a bit further up the road to photograph a few other boats and tried using this tree in the foreground. I gave this photo the same treatment as the first boat photo, a color version and a black and white version. After this little stop, I headed on further with the expectation of catching that sunset. So it's just really windy and it just continues being foggy. It's probably not going to stop being foggy before sunset. There's about an hour to sunset. I am out here in this hilly area that I talked about earlier, and I've come by a couple of trees right there on a field. So long lens on, they're like in on the field. So I'm probably going to shoot it from outside the fence. Let's see. So I'm just going to come down a little bit lower here, just so that I have that separation between the lower branches. And yeah, well, it's not the horizon, but as you can see there, just like the line. I do quite also like it from up here, but the problem is that those branches are then in the ground, so I guess I will have to take this lower perspective right here. This photo turned out so much better than I expected, and I find it to be very reminiscent of Michael Kenner's work. Here you can also see the before and after, and just how much potential there is in dull, mucky, overcast, but also atmospheric weather like this. I have an entire subchapter about overcast skies and another about natural light in my brand new ebook. It is 251 pages of everything I know about and how I use light. For this ebook, I have even added extended EXIF data where you can see if the photo is blended, focus stacked, what filter I used, and so on. Like my ebooks on composition, they all have minimal text and tons of examples to get to the point fast. As mentioned, I like the higher perspective for this photo because it would have increased the perceived distance between the trees and the slope of the hill in the background, thereby having added more depth to the photo. But I decided against it because I prioritized the separation between the lower branches and the line created by the slope of the hill. And as long as I can still see the space behind the trees, I keep the sense of depth. If the trees were placed exactly where the slope begins, the photo would have looked more flat. Depth and separation are two of the many chapters and tools of composition I also cover in my ebooks. There are links to all 3 ebooks down in the description of the video. So many things going on right now, like fog up on the top of this hill. There's like light breaking through over there, and then I found a composition here in the background with some birch trees that stands out beautifully on this atmospheric background. Oh, that is some fancy fine art right there. Maybe I just need to zoom all the way into 400mm. Yep. This photo is all about the shape of the birch trees against the darker surroundings. By filling the frame, it almost has an abstract quality to it. I also decided to keep this photo in color because when comparing to a black and white version, I find that the black and white version to become a bit too messy despite the removal of the color. So today turned out completely different than what I had expected. I wanted golden clouds and maybe a beautiful lone tree, but there's no chance that this fog is going away before sunset. It's just down by the water. That was where I photographed that last location. And nope, the sun is definitely not going to go out. But there is this forest here just nearby that I know there should be some nice compositions in, especially when I have this dense fog. So I just want to see if I can get one shot, one super minimal, fine, artsy forest photo, just with some nicely separated beech tree trunks before sunset. So a few years back, I was in this beautiful forest down in northern Germany called Gespensterwald, very close to Rostock. And this forest here is probably one of the forests in Denmark I found that reminds me the most of that. Because it's a very, very clean forest floor. And then you have these straight up and also clean beech tree trunks. And they look phenomenally beautiful, especially when you put on the long lens and like zoom in to the details. And with this fog here, it just, oh, it's amazing. It just creates this beautiful separation all throughout the scene. Now, the thing that for me makes this a little bit of like, you know, fine artsy is that it is such a clean photo. It's clean in the sense that it is not like, you know, a oak tree that has a lot of like gnarliness to it. Here it's just clean tree trunks. No doubt about what it is you're looking at. It's not like an abstract, but very, very clean trunks. Maybe something that would work in Elements magazine. Foggy forest, close to sunset. The atmosphere here is unbelievable. I love it. Woo, woo, woo. Scary. To keep the theme of the video, I obviously also kept this photo in black and white, and I think it turned out great. Here you can also see the before and after. If you struggle with editing, whether it being monochrome, moody, atmospheric forests, cleaning your photos properly, working with and blending with luminosity masks, and much more, be sure to enroll in my huge post-processing course, Photoshop for Landscape Photographers. With more than 30 videos and 20 hours of information, there is so much to dig into. I edit most of my photos in Camera Raw, which Lightroom is built on, and then I move into Photoshop to either finish off the photos or blend several layers together. And I of course introduce you to the programs and introduce you to Photoshop. So if you never used Photoshop before, that is a great opportunity to get started. Along with the ebooks and the link and the coupon code for Elements magazine, there's also a coupon code for this course down in the description of the video. What a day and what a collection. I never got the sunset, but one can't complain considering I managed to pull such a collection of beautiful fancy fine art photos out of a single afternoon. Let me know down in the comments which one is your favorite. I hope you learned something about fine art photography and that I maybe even broadened your understanding of photography in general. See you next time.